I usually go for long, drawn-out, stereotypical video essayist intros, so let's just get right into it. Fortnite. The game that your favorite fictional character is from has gone through its atmospheric highs and punch-down meme status lows over the past 6.5 years, but has been riding a rogue wave of success for quite some time now. If you're like me, you really started to get back into Fortnite beginning in Chapter 3 Season 2, with the addition of Zero Build, a mode that eliminated the mechanic that had pushed so many of us away. Ever since, Epic has been slowly growing the game's population through strategic marketing decisions and a clearer design ethos for Zero Build, reaching a record-shattering peak in interest over the past couple of months. Those who hadn't been converted in Chapters 3 or 4 were almost certainly back on board with the release of OG, a month-long nostalgia trip that encouraged the slowest, most relaxed gameplay in the game's history. This was followed up by the groundbreaking launch of 3 entirely new games within Fortnite, effectively completing its transition into a Roblox-esque game development and delivery vessel. Now, the entire world seems to be playing Fortnite. Everyone's eyes peeled on the item shop, waiting for Epic to finally put the damn winter skins in the game. Amidst the Fortnite fever, I've noticed that content creation surrounding this game is still generally surface level and sometimes even extremely exploitative. How has a game that so authoritatively seized people's passion failed to produce much in the way of deeper analysis? Don't you think it's weird that there isn't really a conclusive collection of thoughts on this game's many elaborate systems, gameplay elements, and cultural trends practically anywhere on the internet? Sure, there might be the odd article every now and then that gives you a gist of a gist, but nothing truly substantial. So that's what I'm setting out to do with this video. To hell with the content updates that I've missed. I want there to be a review of this video game on this website that covers as many bases as it can, given the awkward, disjointed nature of the live service model. How does Fortnite work now? How does it feel to play, and what the hell even is it? Because beneath the seemingly endless layers of irony surrounding it, I believe that this is a truly special multiplayer title, and one that deserves just as much critical acclaim as it garners casual attention.
Look, here's the thing about being rich, okay? It's fucking great. Okay, it's like being a superhero, only better. You get to do what you want, the authorities can't really touch you, you get to wear a costume, but it's designed by Armani, and it doesn't make you look like a prick.
You might expect me to talk about gameplay first because, well, I'm talking about a game. Gameplay is the one defining aspect that is wholly unique to our medium. What's occurred to me though, after playing dozens of live service titles over the years, and recently covering several as a part of my foray into video production, is that our industry is very different now. While a game's moment-to-moment action can be top-notch, genre-defining stuff, a disingenuous monetization system can cause all that to come crumbling down. What I've learned is that in-game monetization is overwhelmingly not a result of some benevolent and gracious development team, as all game developers want to put out their best work in as unrestricted a fashion as possible. Rather, monetization is a tightrope walk between the publisher and the community, an aggravating tug-of-war of money and willpower that usually results in the publisher having their way, as is capitalism at work. Monetization is a war that has largely already been lost, as years of complacency and excuses have made way for pervasive cash shops and battle passes that have all but eliminated that older sense of progression in our online games. In-game progression in the form of cosmetic rewards and gameplay unlocks has been a hallmark of multiplayer game design for decades, so it's important we have this conversation, especially with a game as large as this. You, as the consumer, need to know what you're getting yourself into so you can make the decision as to whether you want to get yourself invested or not. Monetization in Fortnite is split in 3 main directions: the Battle Pass, the Item Shop, and the Fortnite Crew. There's also a new Festival Pass, a remix on the Battle Pass system exclusive to the game Fortnite Festival, but I'll talk about this much later in the video. The Battle Pass and Item Shop utilize the game's premium currency, V-Bucks, while the Crew is a subscription service that costs $11.99 USD every month. Let's start with the Battle Pass. Fortnite's Battle Pass costs 950 V-Bucks, which is more or less the equivalent of $8.99 USD. By purchasing the Battle Pass, you're essentially signing yourself up for a progression path that lasts about 3 months, with 200 tiers of content that are earned by acquiring XP. Each Battle Pass has a set collection of cosmetics, from ignorable fluff like sprays and emoticons to high-quality backblings, pickaxes, and most coveted of all, skins. Battle passes in Fortnite also feature another key component that, to this day, separates them from many other live games on the market. V-Bucks, the same premium currency used to purchase the Battle Pass, can be earned within it. Up to 1,500 in fact. This means that if you're smart and restrained with your purchases elsewhere in the game, a single $9 purchase can get you every single Battle Pass, indefinitely, with a little extra for some goodies. The key words in that sentence are smart and restrained because, as many of us know at this point, Epic's art and marketing teams working hand in hand can make you question your life choices. However, it is very much possible to spend no more than $9 and have a permanent form of progression and steady cosmetic unlocks. I also feel it worth noting, since it's entered the discussion in the game's community as of late, that Battle Passes are temporary. After the 3-month period in which they're active ends, they will never return, at least at the time of recording. This includes any and all skins, from the most beautiful original skins to the most recognizable licensed skins. As of right now, you can no longer earn mascot characters like Peely, Meowscles, or Drift, or pop culture icons like Spider-Man, Superman, or Darth Vader. All of these outfits, among many others, were at one point locked behind Battle Passes, and are thus no longer acquirable. To be frank, this is silly. Other studios in this space, like 343 and Blizzard, have gathered and adapted to feedback on their own Battle Passes, either adding retroactive systems within them or entire retroactive passes in and of themselves. This not only leads to a happier player base, but I'd imagine higher sales as well. Obviously, what Epic is trying to do here is permeate a sense of player entitlement and item rarity, which is fine, but should not come at the expense of the user experience. There have been many methods proposed by the members of the community in an attempt to fix this issue of FOMO, such as a 2-year timer for items to move from the Battle Pass to the item shop, or the inability for players to earn bonus styles on items that were originally in the Battle Pass. Most of these proposals are worth Epic taking a look at and considering, as I think there is an obvious middle ground here. Players should have the ability to play with skins they desperately want but missed out on, while keeping or adding some elements of prestige that allow early adopters to show off. Speaking of the item shop, let's talk about that. The Fortnite item shop is a marketplace that rotates daily, offering up exclusive cosmetics for a drastically higher price than earning equivalent items via the Battle Pass. Items vary in cost depending on rarity and type, with something like an uncommon emote costing 200 V-Bucks and a legendary collab skin like Goku costing 2,000. Most things will land somewhere in the middle of those two extremes at reasonable prices compared to other microtransaction pricing schemes. While in games like Diablo 4 and Destiny 2, you'll be paying somewhere in the $20 to $30 range for a single armor set, in Fortnite you can purchase cosmetics at parity for as much as half of that. The item shop is also, largely, a very optional aspect of the monetization system. Some people love the exclusive feeling of purchasing tons of potentially rare skins or collabs they've been waiting for, while others ignore it entirely. Considering the variety of high-quality items that can be earned by leveling up the Battle Pass, some players go extensive periods of time without engaging with the item shop, if ever. Last on the docket is the newest addition to the monetization model, the Fortnite Crew. As noted before, Crew is a subscription service that refreshes its offerings every month for the price of $11.99. There is no option to purchase a yearly subscription, meaning that a full 12 months of being subscribed to Crew will cost you roughly $144, not including tax. That's upwards of 2 $70 AAA games in 2024, so if you decide to take the plunge into the world of Crew, make sure that you're making full use of your subscription. So what do you get for being a Crew member? Every time the calendar month rolls over, you'll get a unique Crew skin that is only ever available for that month, complete with some matching accessories. These can be some of the best, most desired skins in the history of the game, or eat up dust in your locker, although it's really up to personal preference. In addition to calendar month rewards, you'll be given 1,000 V-Bucks every time your subscription reset comes around, which is once again roughly equivalent to $9 American. Perhaps the biggest draw to Crew, particularly during months when a new season is introduced, is the included Battle Pass. The second that the game registers you as a Crew member, you'll have access to the newest Battle Pass, and if you already own it, you'll get a once per season refund of 950 V-Bucks. Another lesser-known perk of being subbed to Crew is that you'll also get the Rocket Pass, Rocket League's own Battle Pass, if that at all appeals to you. If not, it's best you entirely erase it from any consideration of personal value. Epic has also begun pushing legacy rewards into Crew, which are additional skins, styles, and accessories aimed to keep people subscribed for longer. To summarize, when you buy the base version of a Crew skin, you'll unlock its legacy path, which includes 5 more recolors and retextures of that skin and its add-ons. Every month you stay subscribed from there on out, you'll move along that path and gain another legacy bundle for that skin. Most of these have no time limit to complete, meaning that you can pause your subscription and come back later at any point to continue getting legacy rewards. Although the most desired legacy items, including entirely unique skins or pickaxes, may have limits that require you to remain subscribed straight through a very tight period of time. Admittedly, my analysis of Crew is that it is largely a service whose goal is to pressure players with the most intense window of FOMO within Fortnite. Yes, the item shop rotates daily, but a vast majority of those items will return at some point in the future. The most appealing aspect of Crew for dedicated players is the exclusive monthly skin, which is only ever available for a single month of time, ever. It can definitely provide meaningful value for avid Fortnite players, especially those who dabble in Rocket League, but from my experience, it's best used as a better deal with which to purchase the current season's Battle Pass. Fortnite, from almost every angle, is easily one of the best monetized free-to-play games on the market. The only games that are able to compete with it as far as I'm aware of are Halo Infinite with its sweeping improvements to player progressions since launch, and Warframe with its entirely free gameplay philosophy and easily earnable premium currency. Fortnite has one of the cheapest, most exploitable pricing models out there. Exploitable, not exploitative, mind you, but that's where it can really suck you in. If you're someone who's able to control their impulses, someone who doesn't care too much about flashy cosmetics, Fortnite's monetization probably won't affect you in the slightest. In fact, you can effectively turn it against itself and come out having spent next to no money for dozens and dozens of quality outfits. But if you're someone who has a difficult time preventing yourself from making impulsive decisions, someone who tells online storefronts to remember their credit card info for next time, then Fortnite might end up playing you. With no egregiously overpriced items to bring you back to your senses, it's very possible to get lost in the maze of money making. On the bright side, there aren't any cosmetics that cost over $360. So you could be doing a hell of a lot worse.
As long as I know the shape of my soul, I'll be all right.
Wow, you really understand my art.
Oh, I totally don't understand anything.
I am retroactively writing this section because reading back over the script, I don't think I've sounded as positive as I want to, and I want to change that. A considerable portion of the enjoyment that a lot of people, including myself, get from Fortnite is just how wonderful this game is to look at. From the skins, to the emotes, to the map, to the lighting, to even the loading screens, all of it is so fucking good that it makes my head spin. I want to do the art team justice here, because from everything I've heard out of Epic, they aren't treated well whatsoever, yet their work defies this. The quality of cosmetic items in Fortnite is simply unmatched. There is no other online game that does it as well as Fortnite does. Not Overwatch, not Destiny, none. Fortnite doesn't really have a central visual style anymore because it's just done too many to count. There are skins in the original style, cel-shaded skins, more detailed skins, vintage cartoon skins, skins with dynamic visual effects, western skins, cyberpunk skins, vampire hunter skins, ethereal skins, incomprehensible skins. You're going to find dozens that you adore, but it doesn't even stop there. Plenty of skins have bonus styles, which can be a recolor or a complete redesign entirely. Others have a handful of parts that you can mix and match, giving you the ability to make the exact skin that you want. Those pieces might even have bonus color options, and those bonus color options might even have dynamic visuals. Some skins are reactive, meaning they change based on how you play or how the environment changes. Some skins have wholly unique facial patterns, changing their expression as you perform an emote or aim a gun. Some skins even behave in one-of-a-kind ways, whether it be with emotes or with a specific accessory. It's not just skins though. All of what I just mentioned applies to pickaxes, back blings, gliders. You get the idea by now. It's even more baffling that they're able to deliver items of this quality at such a breakneck pace. Snap, an action figure themed skin with over 50 different customization options and a unique emote, was released in the same battle pass as Malik, another highly customizable top-tier skin. Yet another element that sets Fortnite apart from its competition. Each chapter, the Fortnite map changes, and with that change, a fresh feel. In Chapter 4, we got what I consider to be the prettiest map we've ever gotten. It began with a strong focus on Western European architecture with a cozy hint of the autumn season. There was an awe-inspiring castle in the center of the map that could be seen for miles, with old Germanic villages scattered around the perimeter. With Season 2, a near-futuristic city was added, a serene rural Japanese environment right by the ocean surrounding it all. Season 3 saw a vibrant prehistoric rainforest, and Season 4 capped the chapter off with a trio of action set-piece mega mansions. Chapter 5's first season, Underground, shifts the European influence down, literally, to the Mediterranean. Despite my Italian heritage, this isn't my favorite-looking map, although I will acknowledge that it's still beautiful. In the snowy areas, there's remnants of that Germanic inspiration from Chapter 4, but much more focused on the modern contrast between anti-establishment punk and capitalist decadence. When you decide to wander out into the grasslands is when you'll get the feeling of being in southern Europe, flowberry fields and expensive villas dotting the arid landscape. There's even a Colosseum-esque amphitheater to go chill at if you and the squad want to catch a movie. The map looks even better if you have a setup that can support ray tracing. Due to the simpler geometry in Fortnite, ray tracing just pops so much more than it does in most other games, to the point where the map just looks entirely different sometimes. It's a shame that Epic has not yet implemented DLSS 3 frame generation support, making high frame rates with ray tracing difficult to achieve. If you're one of the few who can, I'd highly encourage you to switch on Lumen and Nanite, because the lighting and texturing uplifts that they provide are truly breathtaking. Animation is another underappreciated field in game development, even in Fortnite where it is so unbelievably crisp. Emotes are one of the most famous aspects of the game, being the catalyst for so many funny clips, and it's no wonder as to why. All of the mocap that's been done is utterly flawless. Viral dances are translated one-to-one, and original dances are no slouch either. Some of the newer original emotes have such good mocap and effects work that the first reaction I had to them was, holy shit, that's some crazy mocap. The animation team has also done a full facelift of the entire animation suite during moment-to-moment gameplay, and it honestly couldn't be more of an improvement over the old suite. There's so much more detail to the minor movements your character makes, whether it be their stutter steps when slowing down or the way they hold their weapon. It's noticeably weightier, more realistic, without being too try-hard or taking the personality out. Hell, even the idle lobby poses for each skin are so lively and fun to look at. You're immediately able to tell what a skin is all about without knowing anything about their backstory or if they even have one, all communicated to you with how their body moves while waiting for you to start a game. Lots have this undeniable swagger to them, like they're from some separate cyberpunk universe. Others are approachable and lovable, and some just radiate menacing vibes. None of this was necessary. They could have just kept upholding the status quo, but they've gone ahead to set a new standard for animation work in online games that I don't think will be topped for quite some time. A needlessly taboo subject in the gaming landscape is that of inclusion, of diversity. A lot of people try to turn it into something political, using the term as some impenetrable wall of steel intended to prevent them from ever engaging with people who are unlike themselves. This is ridiculous, as diversity and inclusion aren't political topics as so many would like to make them out to be, just as basic human empathy or equality for all are not political topics. Unlike things that are truly political, like economics or foreign policy, intolerant people, whether they are aware of their intolerance or not, like to label things that they're uncomfortable with as political, with quotations. To put it clearly, this is wrong, and is much too commonplace in the world of video games. What enables and perpetuates these systems is for another video from someone much smarter and more qualified than myself, but something I can provide input on and praise for is when people push back against them. In this case, developers. Fortnite has, interestingly, some of, if not the best, diversity and representation within online gaming, due in large part to its art team. This isn't to excuse some of the game's shortcomings, like its oddly indirect Rainbow Royale event, but rather to highlight what it does right. Fortnite has prominently featured black and brown characters since its release, characters with detailed, well-received models, something that is unfortunately nowhere near the norm. In order to better put into words the concepts that I've already been aware of, I've done some research into black and brown representation in games from black and brown writers. In that research, I've read some really excellent, thought-provoking material on black stereotypes, tokenism, physical characteristics, and a lot more. I'm going to leave all that material in the description because it's absolutely worth your time if you wish to better understand these issues directly from the people who are affected by them. And to not overstep my boundaries, I'm not going to come to any conclusions of my own, but rather read to you something poignant from one of those people. Writing for Not Your Mama's Gamer, Ashley J. Velasquez discusses the whitening of black women in video games in her article, I Am My Hair, Racial Diversity in Video Games. When talking about her own experiences with trying to find black women that represent her, she writes, while 25 years have passed, this notion of African American women being undesirable continues to infiltrate game designers' decisions to routinely whiten our features or even make certain hair types impossible to achieve. But who am I to complain about the design of black or African American women? I speak up and maybe I get the, whoa, hey, you're biracial. You've already been whitened. You should be able to find someone you identify with in one of those games. You've missed the point. Diversity among black women. There are multiple skin tones, multiple levels of emotional strength and empathy, multiple hair textures, multiple moral associations, multiple types of women. You can't create one type of black woman, adapt her from game to game, and not expect us to notice. To Velasquez, the problems with black representation go far beyond the lack of black representation at all, but the failure to properly communicate the beauty of blackness in all of its many forms. The art team at Epic has been doing a commendable job at breaking this unhealthy trend, which I'll refer to another writer to explain. Jay Breezy, co-founder of Blurred.com, touched on this lightly in his article of Blurred's favorite black Fortnite skins. In this he states, not only are the characters varied and interesting, but they also come with black hairstyles and not just the default Caesar cut or afro styles from the past. The article then goes on to bring up original characters and collaborations such as Bright Gunner, Complex, Naomi Osaka, and Black Panther, each of them wildly different from the others. Black and brown representation isn't of course the only representation that Fortnite has tackled head-on, with there being plenty of other amazing skins for people of almost every race, sexuality, and gender. As someone who's queer in various directions, I find it liberating that I have more than one option, and that those options all understand someone like me. The Fortnite art team is absolutely killing it here, giving so many people the opportunity to play as many different characters that actually represent them, and that's fucking awesome. If you want to learn more about black and brown representation not only as it pertains to video games, but to other mediums as well, I encourage you to do your own research from black and brown thinkers. I find it important that we listen to each other and amplify one another's voices when we haven't experienced what they have. Doing so will not only promote empathy and solidarity, but also encourage improvements in representation, as is the case in Fortnite.
Fine! One game for the universe record. Winner gets all the respect. Let's play.
To preface this section, I am a zero build player. I know, you OG builders might be turning away and covering your noses from the foul stench that I might radiate to you, but I promise you, the better half of my life has been spent playing and mulling over the design of shooters, so I've still got plenty to say about the gameplay here. If you're someone who's looking for the opinion of a build player as to the state of the game, or how fun building is, or if it's worth trying to get good at the mechanic, there are so many other wonderful resources out there that will turn you into an architecture graduate. I have but a mere game design degree, Yet with that, I can still offer a few tokens of knowledge and respect I have for build as a game mode and building as a mechanic. As weird as it may sound, building in Fortnite is the closest that we've ever gotten to the resurrection of StarCraft and the broader RTS genre as an esport. Both building in Fortnite and warfare in StarCraft require an intense mastery of the game's most seemingly minuscule mechanics, such as knowing who can edit a piece of a build or how to maximize your economy from the nanosecond a round starts. They both demand you push your body to its furious limit, pumping your actions per minute as high as it can possibly go without inflicting injury on yourself. They both have shockingly deep micro and macro at play, from edit shotgunning through a flurry of visual effects to commanding a very specific selection of units to perform a very specific maneuver in the blink of an eye. One might be a third-person shooter with a scene primarily made up of young children and teenagers, the other a long-dead management sim with a decaying community of middle-aged adults. Yet at their cores, both games appeal to perfectionist athletes, people who want to become nearly robotic in their reaction time and complex three-dimensional thinking. That's what I've got to say about Build, and as much as I personally don't enjoy playing it, I respect those who can immensely, and if you're into that kind of thing, I suggest you give it a look. Zero Build is really chill though, and I can't express how much I appreciate that in a world of ultra-competitive shooters perpetuated by streamer culture and gamer brands. Sure, the rule set of a battle royale itself is inherently much sweatier than a standard 6v6 respawn-based shooter, but that's not the only thing going on in Zero Build Battle Royale. Ever since all of us Zero Builders stopped playing Fortnite back around 2017 to 2019, Epic have been adding a deluge of new features that improve the game as a whole. Mechanics like vehicles, fishing, and boss fights make for a lot more diversification in how you spend your downtime in any given round. Nobody wants to just aimlessly walk around with their squad looking for a fight to present itself, so giving people some productive busy work or allowing them a method to find said fights faster is great. Meta progression systems that utilize gold, such as weapon upgrading, weapon customization, and NPC vendors, contribute to a heightened power fantasy, and give the player a stronger sense of control over their loadout. What's been felt the most, though, are changes either aimed directly at Zero Build or that benefit the player noticeably more in the game mode. Sprinting, swimming, sliding, vaulting. Not all of these movement options were added with Zero Build in mind, but their impact is huge. There's also usually movement items in the loot pool that help you get around both in and out of fights, with certain standouts literally turning the game into a straight-up movement shooter. Perhaps most important are the survivability tools, like the Zero Build exclusive Overshield or the ability to revive lost teammates. Having an extra 50 health that you can get back by being out of combat is such a lifesaver when you have way less cover, and despite being copy-pasted from Apex, Resurrection in Battle Royales is now a staple quality of life feature. All of these changes make Fortnite feel decidedly modern, no matter what year you're playing it in. Epic is always going to be on the forefront of game feel when it comes to this type of stuff, which is reassuring because I don't think Fortnite is ever going away. Now let's talk gunplay. As someone who's dumped over 3,000 hours on Destiny 2 on Steam alone, my expectations for how guns should feel in my shooters are quite high. My expectations for other things, questionable. But gunplay, I need me some punchy feeling weapons. Thankfully, Fortnite is pretty serviceable here, albeit with plenty of caveats. Sound design surrounding weapons has slowly gotten better, as an older weapon like the Scar sounds like a pea shooter in comparison to a comparable yet newer weapon like the Striker. Some weapons even sound pretty damn excellent, like the new Reaper, which is what I'd imagine a sniper rifle sounds like if you chambered a Thunderbolt condensed into bullet form. This will of course vary from weapon to weapon and from chapter to chapter, with some sounding pretty average and others just not really delivering at all. A possible reason why various recent weapons sound a bit better than their ancestors is due to an experiment that's been going on for a couple years now, but has reached a peak in Chapter 5, First-Person Weapons. In Chapter 3, Epic added the MK7, the very first first-person weapon to Fortnite that didn't utilize a scope, but rather a red dot sight. After that, we'd get many more iterations of the first-person weapon, until weapon crafting just this last December. Weapon crafting is now a core feature in Battle Royale, allowing you to apply various scopes of differing zoom levels to practically every weapon in the game. Assault rifles, submachine guns, sniper rifles, you name it. Almost everything can seamlessly transfer you to a first-person camera now, which has created a huge design issue hiding behind the improved weapon feel. First-person weapons have always been separated from third-person weapons mechanically, as the former have increased recoil with no bloom, and the latter having more bloom with reduced recoil. Now that every gun has no bloom and can be outfitted with additional attachments to help get rid of recoil, they're all straight up laser beams. To fight this problem, Epic has enacted the largest change to Fortnite's gunplay in its history: projectile weapons. No longer does the game check if your aim is lined up with the enemy to register a shot, otherwise known as hit scan. Instead, every bullet fired travels quickly in real time towards its final destination, much like how sniper rifles have always behaved. This has created a divide in player opinion, with some appreciating a reduction in the randomness that bloom caused, while others lament the hard nerf that this ultimately is for mid-range weapons like assault rifles. Projectile weapons are not a new phenomenon in shooters. Battlefield and Apex are two great examples, but it is no doubt going to be accompanied by growing pains in Fortnite. Personally speaking, this is much better for the balance of the game, as yes, it does allow for much more skill expression than Bloom did before. However, hitscan is going to feel so much more natural and fulfilling to a vast majority of players, as not only is it the system Fortnite has used since launch, but it is also much more popular of a system within the genre as a whole. I think this could be a benefit in the long run, but for right now, Fortnite's gunplay is carried by the look and sound of its weapons, not by how they fire. Matchmaking quality is a debate that has torpedoed to the forefront of online shooter discussion, and one that has been divided pretty clearly down the middle. While there is certainly a middle ground, it's very difficult to get a grasp of it when both sides are so loud about what they believe. On one hand, you have skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM. For the purpose of this video, since there is no clear, 100% definitive definition, I'll be treating SBMM as any system that heavily prefers player skill over connection quality and queue time. On the other end is connection-based matchmaking, or CBMM. CBMM, for the purpose of this video, is any system that heavily prefers connection quality and queue time over player skill. As far as we're aware, Fortnite utilizes an SBMM system. How intense this SBMM system is, we don't know for sure, as Epic doesn't release matchmaking data, so I can only really speak from personal experience here. As someone who prefers CBMM systems, being an above-average player, I don't mind Fortnite's matchmaking despite its roots in matchmaking based on skill. Maybe this is because I'm typically the best player in the friend group. Sorry guys. But I can't recall many terrible mismatches in my lobbies, nor can I recall poor connection quality or long queue times. The matchmaking experience is, from my point of view, solid, something that is probably due in large part to the sheer amount of people who play Fortnite. An odd quirk to be aware of, however, is Fortnite's over-reliance on AI bots. You won't see this a lot when researching the game, but AI bots litter practically every non-ranked lobby, both to speed up queue times and to act as fodder for lesser skilled players. I have to be upfront here and say that I really hate this. These bots aren't programmed to be formidable opponents in the slightest, so much so that you can immediately tell when encountering one. They don't challenge the player, they don't pick up much meaningful loot, and they're disappointing to discover when you thought you've ran into a legitimate fight. Depending on how many bots are in any given lobby, they can make it feel so much smaller, as your kill count racks up with freebies without seeing another human soul. Before you know it, it's the end of the match, and the final fight might not even be against real people at all. I'd much prefer if Epic removed these AI bots from the game entirely, even if it increased queue times and tanked my personal stats. I want to fight actual human beings, not short-circuiting computers. The last topic I want to touch on in this section is yet another divisive one, and one that might catch me some flack, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because I think it's important. Input methods. Now, I play on PC with a mouse and keyboard, and I've put in my time getting good at this input method so I can hold my own with some amazing players across multiple games. Before I got a computer, though, I played on console. Back in my prime as an obnoxious teenager on Xbox Live, I was really great with the sticks, just as I am now with M and K. I bring up all of this to say, input methods need to be separated, or at the very least, crossplay needs to be toggleable just as it was when it was first introduced. This is not a direct complaint towards aim assist, although I do have plenty of those. Rather a basic statement backed up by history and simple game and hardware design. In the very first game design class I took in college, my professor prepared a lecture all about input methods and control schemes, as they're extremely important to consider early in designing a game. Throughout the short history of video games, input methods have either been designed around certain genres or vice versa. For example, the modern controller layout we're accustomed to is best designed for sports games, action games, and racing games. This is due to the player being able to have their fingers on many different inputs at a time, as well as the three-directional movement and camera the thumbsticks allow. This also explains the recent trend of controller accessories and deluxe controllers. The spike in popularity of shooters on consoles called for quality of life improvements like longer thumbsticks for more precise aiming and paddles on the back for more inputs to be bound. This is, of course, because the controller is not an input method designed around shooters. Although the audience is larger on consoles, this is a result of their mainstream appeal and cheaper entry point. The keyboard and mouse is the premier input method for playing shooters, and it's not even remotely close. That is simply fact. Shooters began to pick up steam, haha, on PCs with titles like Wolfenstein in 1992, Doom in 93, Duke Nukem and Quake in 96, and Half-Life in 98, all of which were released on PC first and foremost. As is common knowledge by now, shooters wouldn't see an uptick in popularity on consoles until GoldenEye for the N64 in 97 and the explosion of Halo onto the scene in 2001. Shooters were designed around the keyboard and mouse. That much is blatantly obvious if and when you ever make the switch between the two input methods. The mouse allows for much more precise aiming, as instead of just using your thumb to move a stick in a small confined area, you use your entire arm in a much larger, freer space. With a mouse, you can make sweeping corrections, flicking your aim around 360 degrees in a flash, hence the term flick. With a keyboard, inputs may seem clunkier at first, but with practice, you're capable of making instant weapon swaps, exact movement text, even assigning macros if it's permitted. All of this is to say that M&K and controller have never, ever been designed to play with one another. This was even the case for decades until Fortnite made cross-play commonplace and forced the two to interact. In the presence of M&K, controllers have been buffed beyond reason, with more excuses like higher frame rates on PC being used as even more justification. The way I see it, this entire debate is ridiculous and is quite clearly a result of two heated sides shouting at each other for advantages the other side has that theirs doesn't. Factually, keyboard and mouse is a much better fit for shooters than controller. If you remove aim assist from the equation, since it's literally an artificial helping hand meant to make shooters not feel like total shit on controller, there isn't a single symmetrical scenario where an equally skilled controller player beats an equally skilled M&K player. As tough a pill to swallow as that is the truth. So why should the two be allowed to interact, especially when it creates so much vitriol within these communities? Input methods need to be split once again, with crossplay being opt-in. There is no reason why Epic should be behind here when they could so easily be ahead.
I'm sorry, who exactly are you supposed to be?
With the release of Chapter 5, Fortnite is no longer just Battle Royale. Fortnite is Battle Royale, LEGO Fortnite, Rocket Racing, Fortnite Festival, and the full collection of user-created games within the Unreal Editor, or UEFN. It is also a tour de force in collaboration, having crossed over with practically any property or person you can think of. Pop culture mega franchises, top streaming artists, beloved anime series, classic video game mascots, it truly is impressive. The obvious end goal here is to create Epic's own metaverse. Not whatever pipe dream Mark Zuckerberg has, but an actual viable vessel for which people can essentially live alternate lives. In Epic's eyes, the logical first step after their normalization of constant collaborations was to start dueling it out with Roblox, offering a strong game development tool in UEFN for the community, alongside an additional offering of AAA first-party game releases directly through Fortnite. There have been some takes on this strategy, but I'm pretty sure in my belief that Fortnite isn't going to become some all-consuming void of creativity. Epic is a big company, but the assumption that they'll be able to compete with actual dystopian megacorporations like Microsoft or Apple in just a few years is absurd. Rather, what they're trying to do with Fortnite is turn it into the first legitimately ongoing game, a game that can last beyond 5, 10, 25 years. Not something that will completely consume our lives, but something that we'll always be able to go back to and enjoy in some way, shape, or form. Chapter 5's content offerings are just the beginning of what could very well be an entire ecosystem of fully fledged video games inside of Fortnite, which is way more exciting than it may sound if you've gotten the chance to play them. Minecraft is one of my favorite games of all time. Radical opinion, I know, give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I truly deserve it, thank you very much. In all seriousness though, the impact that Minecraft has had on gaming goes far beyond its explosion into pop culture back in the early 2010s. C418's Minecraft Volumes Alpha and Beta remain some of the most influential and sublime works of music in the history of the medium. The freedom of Redstone has created thousands of passionate programmers and game developers. The modularity of Minecraft's foundations caused an instant acceleration in people's desire to create their own art, their own textures, their own items, their own rules. But Minecraft has grown stagnant. It has been for quite some time now. The magic isn't quite there anymore. People install old versions trying to find it, but to no avail. Mojang develops the game at a snail's pace while making controversial decisions that split an already concerned player base. Minecraft has been in dire need of real competition for a while now. None of that Cube World or Trove bullshit. Enter LEGO Fortnite. LEGO Fortnite is Epic's entry into the survival crafting genre, a genre that has been largely dominated by Minecraft for over a decade now. It's developed both in-house by Epic themselves and in association with the LEGO Group. In LEGO Fortnite, you play as a minifigure, exploring a world of diverse biomes, friendly animals, and hostile monsters, all in an effort to expand your reach and build your dream LEGO towns. Sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it? Well, I never said that this genre was particularly disparate, now did I? Regardless, the playable minifigure I mentioned before isn't just a single minifigure, or even minifigures of the original Fortnite cast, like what was shown in the event version teasing the game. Almost every single skin in the entire game has a minifigure version, save for a few whose models just wouldn't make sense. That's over 1,200 skins with at least a minifigure equivalent. Of those 1,200-ish minifigures, over 300 are handcrafted, with their own specialized parts and paint applied to them. On top of looking great as per usual, they also might have their own animation work depending on the face, which is such a nice touch. Epic plan on giving even more minifigures this treatment in the years ahead, with icons in-game showing which skins are next on the schedule. The animation team even went ahead and created LEGO versions of a small collection of emotes, some of them complete with quirky little references to LEGO. The best and most astonishing part of all of this, though, is that these minifigure and emote variants are completely 100% free. If you already own a skin, you automatically get its minifigure, and the prices of skins haven't gone up with this added bonus. Epic could have easily tried to nickel and dime people by charging them a small, separate price for minifigures, or bumping up the price of skins on the whole as a bundle excuse, but they didn't. Going the consumer-friendly route has made the LEGO Fortnite experience so lively and fun right out of the gate, and it will only continue to get sillier from here. You're probably asking though, what about the game itself? Well, LEGO Fortnite, like most survival crafting games, is a case of getting out what you put in. It's fairly bare bones at the moment, with only 3 main biomes, a handful of enemy types, basic features like farming, livestock, and enchanting, as well as a pretty linear progression path. You'll start by making a town and inviting a few famous Fortnite characters to live there. Then, you'll make some tools and go spelunking, finding better materials to build better stations to build better tools. It's a nice, relaxing loop of acquiring more power, all the while unlocking blueprints to make your town look a lot comfy cozier. The core combat is also noticeably better than its competitor, putting a strong emphasis on consuming food with buffs and rolling to dodge enemy attacks before getting in on them with your sword. Dare I say it's the teensiest bit Souls-like? Kidding, but also kinda not kidding. The very essence of LEGO is expressing creativity through building, so it's nice to see tons of development time went into making the building mechanic as rich as it is. If you just want to construct a basic house, you can select a blueprint, which will tell you how many materials you need for the build. The process is actually laid out exactly how a LEGO set would be in real life, with small steps guiding you through until completion. Even some of the marketing for the game leaned into this. It's all super cute and flavorful. If you're more the creative type though, there's an assortment of individual pieces from which you can make your own custom structures. For each town you've set up in a different biome, you'll gain more blueprints and pieces for whichever mood you want to set, encouraging replayability for budding architects. If you want to play with friends, LEGO Fortnite supports a maximum of 8 players in the world at any given moment. As the host of the world, you can send up to 7 keys to your friends, allowing them to access the world on their own when you aren't present. Epic have been expedient with their updates as well, pushing several impactful changes within the first few weeks based entirely off of community feedback. Aside from a few minor bugs, the game runs flawlessly and looks absolutely stunning to boot. And if all of this isn't enough for you to at least try it out, Epic is going to be updating the game with a similar cadence to the others. There's already been several new features and events leaked, which I won't explicitly detail, but just know that there is plenty of content on the way. With how much players are loving LEGO Fortnite and how committed Epic is to their live service giant, I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to provide genuine competition for Minecraft in the coming years. I've already spent around 20 hours or so with my friends and have had a pretty great time so far, and I plan on coming around for any future updates as well. Without a doubt, I can recommend this game to you. Rocket Racing and Fortnite Festival are a bit weirder to cover because while I do have a respectable amount of time in each of them, they're much simpler to talk about. Let's start with Rocket Racing first. Rocket Racing is a traditional lap-based racing game developed by Psyonix, the creators of Rocket League. It also has partial cross-progression with Rocket League, meaning that some cosmetics originally available only in Rocket League are now also available in Fortnite. Rocket Racing has a total of 26 maps on launch, with 19 of those being entirely original, the remaining 7 being meaningful remixes of previous, easier tracks. Most of these maps completely rule, full of neat obstacles and tons of ways to gain speed and feel like a badass. Drifting your way around a ridiculously long turn to get a full boost, or shooting through a tunnel at Mach 10 just never gets old. That's what Rocket Racing truly does best, the element of speed. Yes, there are plenty of supplementary mechanics, from instantly flipping on walls and ceilings or trailing behind other players for a boost, but the primal feeling of going stupid fast is what carries Rocket Racing beyond just being another forgettable entry in its genre. Psyonix has a deep understanding of what makes racing games click and have done a great job of capturing speed, a mixture of visceral sound design with clever visual effects and UI design. Rocket Racing isn't my favorite of the bunch, it might even be my least favorite, but it will always be there for when I want to just break the sound barrier with a couple of my friends. Fortnite Festival is a multi-instrumental 4 to 5 lane rhythm game developed by Harmonix, the studio solely responsible for the boom in home rhythm gaming in the mid to late 2000s. They're the studio behind the first 2 Guitar Hero games, as well as the entire Rock Band series, so if their style looks familiar, that's exactly why. Following in the footsteps of Rock Band, Fortnite Festival is split between 4 instruments, which will each play a separate stem, referred to as jam loops in-game, of any given song. These instruments are vocals, lead guitar, bass guitar, and drums. Each song has its own separate difficulty levels for each instrument on a range of 1 to 7, and the player can select their personal difficulty from easy to expert, with expert adding an additional lane to pay attention to. Instrument difficulty correlates to that instrument's prevalence and complexity in the song, while personal difficulty determines how many notes in the song will be translated to notes on your end. If you reach a point in a song with nothing for your instrument to contribute, you'll have a period of rest where you can emote to distract your friends and fuck up their combo. Speaking of combos, pretty much all the bells and whistles from the Rock Band games are here. There's a few differences, like the removal of strumming and the addition of these weird partial hold arrow notes, but it's more or less like you're playing a new Rock Band game in the current year, which is awesome. There's even an option to add or remove latency on your end so that your inputs can be more exact if you have poor internet connection, which is a great little quality of life feature. As far as song selection goes, Fortnite Festival is still in its first season, so the catalog so far isn't the largest. What is there is very hit or miss, with a few huge standouts, obvious duds, and a couple surprises both for better and for worse. As far as the top tier tracks go, Kendrick Lamar's I, 9 Inch Nails' The Hand That Feeds, and Belle Biv DeVoe's Poison are all excellent, because of course they are. They're all deeply layered bangers that fit the Rock Band structure quite well, while still remaining fun and challenging. In the other direction, NF's The Search, Imagine Dragons' Thunder, and Suburban's Cradles all fucking suck, because of course they do. These songs either have core structural issues that make them really boring to play for certain instruments, don't challenge the player enough with their simple maps, or are just not very good songs. Or even all 3. Hints, that last one is true for all of them. Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO surprised me quite a bit, even though it admittedly shouldn't have. The maps for this track are awesome, and even though it's a trashy-ass song, that kinda makes it better with friends. Inversely, Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes, while being a great song to listen to, is shockingly bad in Rock Band form. The song basically just alternates between 2 instruments on and 2 instruments off, with comically long measures of silence when you're off. It's also just a super easy song owed to its punchy but one-dimensional sound. One last thing I wanted to touch on specifically in this section is that songs are not always unlocked for everyone. They're tied up in Fortnite's monetization. A few tracks are chosen to be free each day, along with any new songs that might have been released that day. Any additional songs you own are added to this pool of music for you and your friends to pick from. Jam tracks, as they're called, cost 500 V-Bucks at the time of writing, unlocking the track permanently for use in Festival, as well as giving you access to the 4 jam loops for use in Battle Royale. Epic has stated that they're working on adding more uses for jam tracks, most notably as lobby music. For some people, this will be too steep of a price, even after we see additional functionality. Personally, I think it could definitely be a bit cheaper, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't buy Buddy Holly on the spot to be able to torture people after I down them. Some songs are also only available in the Festival Pass, which I brought up at the very beginning of the video. This pass costs 1,800 V-Bucks and doesn't give you any back in return, which will be an instant deal breaker for many. The current pass, opening night, contains 4 licensed tracks, as well as a skin for the primary collaboration of the season, that being The Weeknd. If you ask me, this is definitely on the hefty side, and I don't like music being locked away forever after a few months. I'd like to see Epic make some meaningful changes here, and I do not recommend you purchase the Festival Pass until those changes are made. I am happy to report though that these monetization pitfalls come far from ruining the mode, as far more predatory practices were crammed into Harmonix's last project, Rock Band 4. Right now, Fortnite Festival is one of the best rhythm games out there, and one of the few still worth giving a damn about. Just last year, user-created content in Fortnite still operated within the bounds of the original creative system. Creative wasn't anything crazy, but it did the job as a tool for players to make basic minigames, things you'd see in Roblox like obstacle courses, role-playing environments, and practice lobbies. Quality didn't particularly matter though. The amount of people drawn to these types of experiences was immense, and so Epic doubled down, hard. In March of 2023, Epic released UEFN, an entirely new way for map makers to engage with the game. UEFN is an entirely separate, entirely free software available on the Epic Game Store. In essence, it's Unreal Engine 5, only more streamlined exclusively for use in Fortnite content creation. To celebrate the launch of UEFN, Epic released a handful of professional maps made with the software, and the results were honestly staggering. Sure, it was kinda just a tech demo, but the tech was and is still there. Now, I can't speak for the technical impact that UEFN has had on map creation. I'm a game writer, not a game programmer. Every time I'm asked to do so much as implement some text and push it to a management software, I start furiously sweating like a complete idiot. What I can speak on is how user-created content feels in Fortnite since UEFN. And it hasn't changed at all? Despite Epic pouring what I'd imagine was probably tens of millions of dollars on UEFN, the tangible difference almost 1 year later is non-existent. UEFN is super cool, don't get me wrong, and I think in the right hands it could be used to make something genuinely boundary-pushing. In a perfect world, right now UEFN is helping to create brand new genres of video games, like how mods for StarCraft and Half-Life birthed Dota and Counter-Strike. But as it stands, anything other than Fortnite's main offerings is most likely just some random slop abusing our ever-shortening attention spans. There are some diamonds in the rough, like the Pit, a free-for-all style mode permitting custom loadouts, but that's about the best you're gonna get. It's disappointing because while Epic's revenue split for creators is extremely generous, that revenue doesn't encourage forward-thinking ideas, just the perpetual cycle of dumber content. I hope this situation improves, that we get talented developers in the space who really want to test their mettle, but I can't say I'm optimistic. Let me indulge for a minute and tell you a story, a pretty recent one. Right after I put out my last video, which you should absolutely go watch if you haven't, my friends and I all got together on call to watch the Game Awards. A lot can be said about 2023's Game Awards, don't get me wrong, but that's not what I'm getting at here. So we're all excited for the awards, myself the most of anyone, because I'm super passionate about the right games getting the right recognition and the right people getting their time in the spotlight. This isn't to throw shade, because if you're up for a game award, chances are you and your team did a kick-ass job on your game, especially if it was in a year like 2023. Something that's hard to deny though about any award show is that there are some gimme awards. Some categories that make you go, duh, it has to be blank. One of those categories was Best Ongoing Game, which was one of the few awards actually presented on stage. Fuck you, I was gonna have to get a jab in there somewhere. Anyway, the nominees were Apex Legends, Genshin Impact, Final Fantasy XIV, Cyberpunk 2077, and of course, Fortnite. Now if you're like me, having a deep investment in this style of game, there are two clear as day frontrunners here. FF14 and Fortnite. Of those two, considering that FF14 didn't have an expansion at 23, we all believed we'd nailed down the gimme. Anthony Mackie was the presenter for the award, and after his horrible crowd work,
Shut up! Shut up!
Dude, shut the fuck up, okay?
Talk about seltzer, why is it so...
Dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, okay?
we were all ready to shout out the winner in unison.
Cyberpunk 2077!
Yeah, brace yourself, because I'm about to manifest my inner Kanye at the 09 VMAs. I'm not here to judge the quality of Cyberpunk or the quality of Phantom Liberty, because the game shouldn't have even been nominated for this award in the first place. In doing so, thousands of developers at Epic were shafted of an award that they deserved in their game's defining moment. Cyberpunk 2077, in its over 3 years of existence, has literally received enough actual content updates to count on a single hand. Phantom Liberty is the first and only expansion for this game, as CD Projekt Red is shifting their focus to the sequel. Why the hell is a game of this reputation, a game that isn't even going to remain ongoing, nominated for the best ongoing game? Not only was it nominated, but it won! Selected via a voting jury, 90% of which being games journalists and experts. Do you understand why I wanted to write this script now? Because the same journalists and experts that write meticulous, detailed reviews for the hottest new games are unable to decipher the meaning of the word ongoing. This vote was taken during the highest point of Fortnite's victory lap, sometime between the massive success of OG and the launches of 3 entirely new games within the game. Fortnite has been around for 6.5 years, cheated death multiple times over, and is currently more popular than it was during the craze surrounding it back in 2017 and 18. It is the only ongoing game that is legitimately pushing its space forward, daring to question our perceptions of what the hell a game even is. Its art, animation, design, and every other teams are setting the gold standard for studios following in their path. It's funny because I bet a lot of these devs don't even care too much, if at all, about a silly award. The Game Awards aren't even the ones developers take most seriously as far as I'm aware. I'm pretty sure that's the Golden Joysticks. I just care about this stuff, probably a little too much. So fuck it. Fortnite might not have won Best Ongoing Game at the Game Awards, but it did win another award. Receiving the first and almost certainly last ever A Raccoon Talking Award for Best Ongoing Game, Fortnite. Hoist it with pride, maybe even display it back at the office. It is one of a kind after all. A genuine congratulations to the Fortnite team on an amazing year of development. My condolences and equal congratulations to any developers unfortunately and needlessly affected by the epic layoffs back in September. Our industry is still being shaken to its core for the sake of the mighty dollar. All developers are deserving of fairer treatment and improved job security. Nobody should have to endure what over 10,000 people endured this past year. Would you look at that? Even my shitty, scuffed award ceremony did a better job at acknowledging the layoffs than Jeff's show did. Thank you for watching. If you got all the way through, it means a lot. Leave a like if you enjoyed to give me a bit of a boost in the algorithm. Subscribe if you want content like this about all sorts of other games I'm passionate about. Until next time.